Not everything is as it seems. It is easy to be deceived, some may not even know it. But ask yourselves, would you rather truth be told or be lied to? The time to wake up and stop going TTHROUGH blindly deceived by the mainstream NDEA and corrupt government sections. Some parts of government are okay, but not all. There are some parts that should be fired and even do time for their crimes against humanity. But this is where we must be aware. We must be fully awakened to this. Not everything is as it seems. It is easy to be deceived, some may not even know it. But ask yourselves, would you rather truth be told or be lied to? The time to wake up and stop going TTHROUGH blindly deceived by the mainstream NDEA and corrupt government sections. Some parts of government are okay, but not all. There are some parts that should be fired and even do time for their crimes against humanity. But this is where we must be aware. We must be fully awakened to this. We are anonymous, we do not forget, we are many. We do not forget, we will always remember. We wish to be in peace and to live with peace, that is the way it should be. Blessed are the peacemakers. But truth must never be silent, so we must stand up for those that are afraid to speak, or nothing can be changed. The change must come from within to make things right and just for all humanity. The Constitution is not our only document of government in this country. 4 documents have been declared by Congress to represent our organic law. The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, and the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. While the Supreme Court has rendered conflicting opinions as to the legal effect that should be given to organic law, we should note that the Declaration is on equal footing with the Constitution in that context. The court has called the Declaration the thought and spirit of our law, while the Constitution is the body and letter of our law. The Constitution was a voluntary compact of either the states or the people, depending on your point of view, but both agree it was voluntary. Compacts entered voluntarily can generally be exited voluntarily unless the exit is positively proscribed by the compact. Nothing in the Constitution prohibits the voluntary withdrawal of a state or a portion of the people from the Constitution's compact. The Articles of Confederation were declared to create a perpetual league of friendship, but were of course replaced by the Constitution. The Declaration, on the other hand, positively expresses a right, based on natural law, of replacing one government with another when the former has proven, through a long train of abuses and usurpations, to have become tyrannical. Unfortunately, Americans have largely abandoned natural law theory, and it was forcefully displaced in most law schools by legal positivism in the late 1800s by the efforts of Christopher Columbus Landau, Dean of the Harvard Law School. To abandon natural law in the legal system does not mean it no longer exists, only that it no longer enjoys the prominence it once did. Natural law is making a resurgence in some quarters. If you want the American people to believe they can still replace one governmental system with another, which is what is generally afoot when an overthrow occurs, you should reintroduce them to natural law. Both Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln famously referred to the people's right of revolution. As the Declaration of Independence says, governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. Thus, if the mass of the people felt the need to break the existing constitution and create a new form of government, the right to do that inheres in the mass of the people themselves. The Constitution is not self-justifying, so no reference to the Constitution is required. The Constitution itself was imposed through a process that was illegal at the time. The Constitutional Convention, which was held in secret, had no legal authority to replace the then existing Constitution Articles of Confederation with the new one. So it was a kind of coup d'etat, especially when one considers all the former officers of the Revolutionary Army in attendance. State conventions were held to ratify, but only 1/8 of the adult population at the time had the right to vote. Hardly a democratic proceeding. Since the existing constitution does not lay out a particularly democratic form of governance, there is no reason the amendment process imposed by the wealthy insiders of 1787 has to be followed. It all depends upon whether there is mass support for structural change on a large enough scale, and if such a process of change is carried out in democratic manner, thus reflecting the consent of the governed. However, there should be much though to keep in a peaceful way of manner and not be in another civil war over that. However, for those that vote rather for Donald J. Trump or Hillary Clinton, the decision must be with a lot of thought, but it still will not mean much for either one. The only way for things to change is by changing from within.